Welcome to the Legendary Leadership Summit 2019 with Cody, Dakota, Wooten.
We are here with Jill Raff. Jill's an absolutely amazing individual, and we're going to be talking about transforming transactions into interactions and how to increase revenue by increasing retention, ratings, and repeat customers through delivering outstanding employee customer experience. She grew up working with her parents, get this, who were the owners and operators of Mickey D's number 150. And along with this, she's done some amazing work. She trained as a chef at Le Cordon Bleu in France, Oprah magazine. She's been in the O magazine. That's right. And she's also the author of Transforming Transactions into Interactions. Jill, welcome to the Legendary Leadership Summit.
Thank you. It's so great to be with you. Always fun to speak to you, Cody.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm honored that you're here with us. So Jill, talk to us about customer interaction and what does this have anything to do with developing a dream team?
Oh, wow. Well, you have to develop a team that understands that first and foremost, it's your engagement and your interaction with other human beings that is going to make your business successful. So it's kind of an inside-out approach, but that interaction is key. But before you even get to the interaction as an owner, you have to have that interaction with your employees. Your employees are actually your first-line customers, while the ones who come and patronize your business, of course, are your end customers. But first and foremost are your employees, and the importance of really developing a team, not just having employees or staff, but developing that team in every sense of the word.
Absolutely. And I would venture to say that your team is more valuable than the end customers anyways, because if your team isn't set up, you're not going to get the end customers, or the end customers you do get won't be the ones you actually want.
That's right. They won't be your loyal, you won't have the lifetime value of your customers or even in your employees, which, retention is a huge problem across all businesses, especially now. Anytime when you've got a low employment, regardless of finding good quality, whether it's low employment or not, actually, as I think about it, finding good employees is always the challenge. And so when you can increase your retention and lower that turnover, you're always going to be ahead of the game. And so, it starts right there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I didn't think about it that way until just now either. But if it's a low employment rate going on, you've got a lot of people looking for jobs, and so you have a lot of not so good people also looking for jobs. And if the employment rate is high, a lot of the people who are looking for jobs know that they have the opportunity to just go wherever, because they know of how high quality they are and how many businesses are still having difficulties getting people in those positions. So no matter where it is, getting the right employee is not the easiest of things to do.
Right. It's not just getting, someone that has a heartbeat, it's like they can fog a mirror. It's getting the right employees, and the right employees means getting employees that are in alignment with your company values. And that is really the crux.
Absolutely. And I love that. Now, Jill, your background is absolutely phenomenal. You've been all over the world doing all sorts of amazing things. What was your journey from getting there into customer experience, and why into customer experience?
So, well, that's a great question, Cody. And I really think, and it's a perfect example of how everything we do in our lives, professionally or personally, it all makes us who we are. And we bring everything to the table. We bring everything to that client. And so for me, I really just followed my dreams. And having grown up in, as you said, an industry where top brand in McDonald's, especially in the early formative years,
Oh yeah.
McDonald's was the gold standard of the restaurant industry. And it was about customer first. Ray Kroc said, the customer's always right. Now, I know we don't necessarily say that today, and that's a whole separate discussion, but that is the value that I grew up with. And that I saw my parents and my dad, there's a story, a perfect example to exemplify this is, we'd be going out to dinner, and I have two sisters, and we passed by one of the stores, and my dad might see, a light out, or he'd see a line of customers, and he'd say, "Oh, sorry, I just have to pull in, get this taken care of, and I'll be right out." Well, of course, 20, 30 minutes later, we're sitting there, where is he? Where is he? And I go in to check in, and there he is, either on the grill, working the grill or the fry station, or he's right on the cashier getting the employees in and out getting the customers in and out very quickly. And always with a smile, always engaging. And that was my example of the way you do business. And so I really kind of carried that through. And in the early years, I followed my dream. I always wanted to be a fashion designer. Well, in fashion, I never thought of design per se initially growing up, but I loved fashion. And each step really built upon itself for things that happened in my life that led me to the next area of developing that part of me, either that I loved or didn't even know exist in some cases. And then really the customer experience piece, when I sat down and realized I want to have a bigger impact, I want to touch more people, not just within one company, I realized that the underscoring element, that common denominator of all the things that I had done was about thinking of and serving the customer's interest first. And it was just a complete natural amalgamation of everything I had done previously. So it just made sense. And it's my soul calling, without a doubt.
Gotcha. So within that, what I love is that it was a journey, and it's not that you discovered this right away. It's that you did different things you were passionate about. You went in, and I know from other conversations I've had with you, you didn't just go in, you went all in. You were one of the best in those industries because I've had these conversations with you. I know that people from those industries still reach out to you today hoping you'll come back to them.
I've had that happen. I certainly have.
So within all of this, one of the things I know that you have a distinction between is that there's a difference between customer service and customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference there?
Oh, goodness. Well, growing up, it was always talked about. And even today, you're starting to see a change, but it's always, you hear customer service. And I feel like we live in a different age, with the advent of technology, with everybody's into an experience. We grow up on iPads and smartphones, and especially the newer generations. And we're used to that experience, and that's what touches us. And the difference really is service is really given. It's the very basic reason that someone comes to buy a product or service from you. It has no emotional connection. There's no human engagement. It's just you're providing a service, and that's it. Whereas an experience really touches on the emotion, and it makes that human connection. And it's what makes you stand out, and what makes someone come to buy from you instead of a competitor, a competitor, because God knows there are so many people who offer the same things that we all do at some point. So why are they choosing to come to you, and especially a second time, over someone else? And it's because of that experience that you're offering them. They've created an emotional connection. And so I'm also a licensed real estate agent in New York and Texas. And the one thing we say with real estate is that people buy emotionally and they justify logically. And that's really true across any industry. So we want to create that experience to create that emotional connection with people. And then they're going to buy from you.
Exactly. And what's important in that is it's not that they just buy from you the one time, it's that they buy from you again and again and again. Because we all know anyone can get the first sale, but it takes more to get the second sale and the third sale and to keep it coming. Because like a used car salesman can get the first sale a lot. However, how often does someone go back to the same used car salesman?
That's right. It's referred to as LTV, the lifetime value of a customer or even an employee. But the lifetime value of a customer is so much more important, that you have the depth of a customer who comes back. And a customer is worth up to 10 times more than their first purchase with you. And it takes 6 to 7 times more expense to actually bring in new customers than it is to retain your current one. So, you want to go deep. You want to keep that person coming back. You want them sending you referrals, repeat customers. You want them to bring other people. You want them to go online and rave about you. So it's the depth of that relationship that's most important, for sure.
Definitely. And within what you just said there, just like thinking about this in my mind, you can, if you get the first customer and they bring in $100 for you and you don't get them again, you're losing out on $1,600 plus on that one customer.
Right.
And you do it again and again and again, and very quickly that it becomes exponentially terrible for you. And how many hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars are you losing because you let that one customer go and then that next one go?
Exactly. And the same is said for an employee, where, retention is the hot topic, the biggest challenge that people have. And for that reason, actually, people don't realize the exponential number, what you're pointing out, which is great. And I actually have a calculator, a customer, an employee turnover cost calculator on my website, because you don't realize how one unengaged employee impacts your bottom line. And then, apply that to all of your employees. Before you know it, you're in tens and thousands, depending upon the size of the business, upwards of big, large 6-figure, even 7-figure numbers.
Absolutely. And very quickly. And one thing that I think is interesting that I don't think a lot of people think about when they're working on developing a team, and we're not just talking about a dream team yet, just a team in general, is the long-term cost of maintaining the person who's unengaged. Because, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but the way I'm thinking about it is that if they're unengaged, they come there to collect a paycheck, but they're going to give the minimum amount of work required to keep the job. And so each day you keep them there, each month, each year that you keep them there, you lose the opportunity cost of all of the business that could be done from that position by someone who actually is engaged.
Yes, and their lack of engagement impacts everybody they touch. So there's a definite ripple effect. And someone who's disengaged usually has a very bad attitude. They have negative energy. They're not team players, so they're not going to be helping out when somebody else needs support in what they're doing to serve the customer. And all in all, that expression about a bad apple, but it's really true. You infect those around you, and it makes a huge difference. So the engagement cost isn't only the disengagement cost is not only that one person and what they are costing you by their specific lack of productivity. It goes beyond, your own team, how it affects everyone else. And of course, if they're unengaged and if they have a bad attitude, you better believe that your customer is going to feel that energy, and they're going to feel the chaos of your business, that you don't have a supportive, orchestrated team that works together like a symphony.
Absolutely. I was talking to someone during the summit yesterday, I believe, and they were talking about how they would sometimes walk into a business and someone would be yelling. I think, who was it yesterday? Anyways, it's there. If people want to see, they'll be able to figure out who said it specifically, and it's just blanking top of my mind right now. But like, imagine you're the customer and you walk in and you see the manager yelling at an employee. What is your first? Yeah, I see you like rubbing your head there because you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Like,
crazy.
what is the impact of that customer right at that moment?
Oh, yeah, talk about like responding emotionally when you walk into a place. How does it make you feel? Everything from the lighting, the way the store is laid out, the colors. But if you see the management or even two employees going at it, no, thank you. I would walk away. Like, who wants to be around that energy? That's bad on so many levels. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. And not only is it bad because that person now has a bad image, but what do they do when other people are talking about needing services that are similar? They say, don't go to these people because I was there and all I saw was people yelling at each other.
You're right, exactly. Word of mouth, it's huge. And now we have the digital word of mouth as well, which is so powerful and can be fabulous or it can be deadly.
Exactly. Because I know that a lot of people, the first thing they do when they're even considering buying something is they go Google reviews. What,
Mhm.
what are people saying about this?
Yeah, it's in the high 90s percentage of people who will first look for reviews before buying something. And it's crazy, but there's actually a stat that was pretty high saying that even one negative review, people would move on, which is a shame because, you know, everybody's got their grudge and there's always something. And people are human. You got to give them a second chance. There's some, other things going on. But I think it's really critical because, you know, people, they say, the expression where it takes 12 experiences to make up for one bad experience. But think about it. In this world of competition, are you even going to get a second chance? Maybe. Certainly no more than that. So why would, to think that you're going to have that you can have 12 experiences to come back and make that right is never going to happen. And 91% of customers actually say they won't give you a second time if you botched the first. And to make it worse, Cody, they actually discovered that 2/3 of all customers walked out of a store when they felt that their customer service was subpar. So 2/3 would walk into that store, see the manager or the employees yelling at each other, and they'd walk out. They wouldn't even give you a first chance.
That's over 60% of potential clients who made the effort to actually go into your store lost. And like that's like a huge testament because there's already a cost for them to get to your store, right? That they've had to put time in, gas in order to make it there. And most people, once they get somewhere, they'd rather not have to go somewhere. But if their experience is that bad, and you like, that's a huge opportunity cost.
Oh, enormous. And I say that we as owners and as employees, as managers, we owe it to our customers to honor their choice and coming and giving the business to us instead of a competitor. We truly do. For me, I think sadly I've been into multiple businesses, or I've even worked with some coaches or certain, it runs the gamut up to a big corporation, and you kind of get a feeling like they're doing you a privilege by having their store there, and they're doing an honor for you to be able to be in their store or to work with them personally. And I think that's really messed up. It's the other way around. We as business owners, we give them the privilege to choose us. We need to earn their business. And so we need to really appreciate and honor them for making that choice. And it's not the way around. We are in business because they have a need and they've come to us. And I think we really need to remember that. That just drives me crazy when I experience that kind of attitude.
Absolutely. And it's about that they are spending their most valuable resource when they go to you, which is their time. 100%. It's the only resource that you can spend and you can never get back. That's right. So as soon as they make that decision, that's already a huge cost that you should be honored that they decided to make.
100%. Absolutely. And in every way, like they deserve, in my mind, they deserve to be pampered. I call it a celebrity customer experience, because we know instantly when you hear the word celebrity and attach it to customer experience, how are celebrities treated? No matter where they go, they are pampered, they're catered to, they are given, they're probably given a lot of stuff for free, but I'm not talking about that aspect of it, but they are completely taken care of like royalty. Well, last time I checked, their $5 deposit in the bank is worth the same amount as my $5 deposited in the bank. So why shouldn't I be getting the same service? Everybody deserves to have a celebrity customer experience, and you're just as valuable as any other celebrity. So give everybody that celebrity customer experience.
Absolutely. And as a leader, as a business owner, whatever capacity, when you treat people like celebrities, most people are never treated. I wouldn't even say like celebrities, they're just not treated well in general. And so if you treat them like a celebrity, like not only are you making them feel awesome, but you're going above and beyond, and like you can gain so much goodwill from people just by treating them well. But when you treat them like a celebrity, they will go to the ends of the earth for you just because of that one interaction you had.
100%. When you and I were talking, one of the other times we were speaking, it's one of the things that I think about, that one of the biggest challenges sometimes with businesses is that they think about the processes and the systems, and they hire people and they train them on the functional training, right? There's not an education. And I think there's a big difference between educating your employees and training them. And you can train a monkey to do anything, but you can't.
You can train a flea to do anything. Right? And fleas don't have much of a brain.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure about the flea, but I would go with it. I hear you.
They have flea circuses. There are flea circuses. They exist where people.
Oh my God, for real?
Yeah, for real. Fun fact about flea circus. So within a flea circus, right, you've got the fleas that are basically in a box, right? And they won't jump out of the box ever. And basically what they do is they put a clear sheet over the top of the box, and the flea hits the top and learn that there's something there until they stop doing it. And when they stop doing it, you can take the lid off, and those fleas will never jump out of the box again. And now you have trained them to stay within the flea circus till they die.
Oh my gosh, that is hysterical. Total sense, right? It's the Pavlovian, right? You train, you reward, they experience something, and then they know, okay, next time. Yeah. I love it. That's so funny.
So huge difference between training and educating, because the flea, you can train a flea to stay in a box, but you can't give it a whole education and teach them what Plato said about the cave and about what business future is looking like in the next 10 years and what, what science is doing in the world right now, that flea will never have a comprehension of that. But a human
flea doesn't learn the values that you want in terms of how they should engage or interact with the other fleas in their circus. They don't learn how to speak the language that is the language of your brand, which reflects your values, going back to that first important element. And so that speaks to what I'm saying is that I think I created this system that I say is protecting your employee and your customer's experience. And I call it SHARP, because you think about, the protection, everyone thinks you need to be protected from a shark. But the SHARP is an acronym, and the R is squared. And it stands basically for, and we can go into these or not, but the S is for serve. The H is that you not only hear, you really need to hear your employees, you need to hear your customers, but beyond that, listen, right? Don't just hear the words and you hear the vibrations and sound, but really listen to what they're saying. A, acknowledge. Back to what we were talking about before, everyone wants to just be acknowledged for what it is, their contribution, whatever their profit, or if you're a customer, what's going on with you, what your need is. And the R squared, Cody, is respect and resolution. So of course, human nature, everyone wants to be respected. And the resolution, as a customer, they're coming to you for some reason, whether it's on the onset to buy something or if they have a problem. Resolution doesn't have to be for something that's happened negatively. And then lastly is kindness. The K is for kindness, because when you're kind to someone, it's that almost that paying it forward, the spontaneous giving. And just being kind shows that you're human. It shows you have some vulnerability. People connect and respond over just that human element of just being kind.
Absolutely. So I'd love if we could break these down even further, because we went through like a minute in talking about all those, but I'm pretty sure that you could go a little bit more in depth on each one.
Sure.
All right. So first one, serve.
First one, serve. So, obviously the word service comes from that. So I think it's really important that you create a culture that really emanates this place of service, genuine hospitality, that you are greeting them, you look at them in the eyes, you let them know that it is your pleasure to do business with them, and you thank them because, after all, you are in business because they are coming to your place of business, whatever it is. And so you serve from that place that it truly is a privilege, and that they're not doing you the favor, that you're there to serve them. And you do it from a place from heart, that you're serving from a place from the heart, not that you just want to make a quick sale. So that's just a quick summary, and just celebrating the piece of, everybody experiencing that customer, the celebrity experience.
Exactly. And one of the things that I heard in that was it's got to be genuine, right? Because there's a lot of people who pay lip service to serving well, but then when you are actually in the conversation with them or receiving a service from them, they're not really genuine about it. They say the words, but you can tell they don't mean the words.
That's it. You feel it. Everyone talks about the Maya Angelou quote, but it's so true that people won't remember what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And that's so true. And if you're authentic and genuine, people will feel that. And if you're not, and you come off very salesy, they're going to feel that too. And they're not going to respond to that.
Absolutely. And there's actually a whole bunch of science behind this, because sometimes when people talk about this kind of area, they kind of feel like, oh, they're going to feel it. It's like this like magical force, but there's actually a physical energy that can be felt, scientifically recorded. Like they have instruments that have been able to record this, where you can actually tell different people's emotions, and different parts of the body can pick up on those. Yeah, exactly. Like this isn't just like this mystical energy field that's in the world. This is science, actual fields where people can literally feel this. And so when you are like excited, when you're actually in it, people can literally feel it, even if they can't understand it as of yet.
Mm-hmm. They're perceiving it. They're picking it up. Even it's their intuition. A lot of people, as we get to be adults, sadly, we learn, as from a child, is this open energy and open to everything in life. It doesn't matter, they have no preconceived prejudices and they just take it all in. And sadly, along the way, we learn where to shut off intuition and to make a judgment and close off our ideas on this and that. And it's unfortunate, but I think we still, as a human being, as just an animal, we pick up on these nuances and we're taking all that in, whether we recognize it or not.
Yeah. So another one of the things that they say is, I want to say it's 70%, and I don't have the exact number there, but it's around 70% of communication is nonverbal.
That's right.
Exactly. Another like 20 to 25% of it isn't the words that are said, but how they are said.
Yeah, it's actually higher than that, Cody, because that was actually a post that I recently put out on my social media.
Okay. Yeah, prove me wrong. That's totally cool.
91 or 92%. I think it's 92% of communication is nonverbal.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with the words you say or how you say them. It's all something completely differently.
Body language, yeah.
And that's crazy. Now we've looked at the serve from an outside customer perspective a lot there. But what does that look like from the legendary leader who's working on developing the dream team?
The same principles apply. You would tweak it a bit, of course, but of course, very important, as we established initially, is to create the same set of values and treat your employees as you want them to treat your customers. So for management to set up a dream team and to set up a team that's going to really work cohesively together, you need to serve their needs. You need to consider, what are their thoughts? What's their input? What are their needs? Do they need this day off? Can they work this many hours? Do they have something else going on? You need to serve your employees first. And that is what's going to create that great dream team. Because if you don't consider your staff and you just say, I'm the boss and this is the way it is, and you either like it or leave it or go find a job somewhere else, they'll go find somewhere else. Because again, it's the same principles. They want to be acknowledged. They want that respect. They want to be a part of something bigger. As it being on a dream team means that you've got people who really care and they're vested in your interest. And you have to show your employees that you're vested in them. And when you do that, you take care of your employees and your employees will take care of your customers. So it does start first internally, what I call the inside out method.
Absolutely. Which is phenomenal to watch that actually happen within an organization. When you see that, talk to me about what that is like for you. I'm just curious.
Oh gosh, when I see that happening, I just, probably worse than most. Because I am truly obsessed with customer experience. It's in my DNA from childhood. So I am acutely aware of everything, even if sometimes I see something happening in my peripheral vision. Like you talked about, you just absorb, like I note it, even if it's not a conscious thing, I pick up on it. And so for me, when I go into a place that has a really great dream team and they are supporting one another and the service is almost like in the background, like you're there to be able to enjoy, whether it's a meal or you're shopping for something in particular, They're there to serve you. They're there to make your experience really great. And so for me, it's like when I see that happening, oh, I just want to like sing, because it's just this beautiful orchestration of great training, great education, great hiring, great company values. I'm kind of working backwards in what the way I see it, because it has to start at the company values and work its way down. But all of those things are in alignment, and they've all been thinking about that dream team first and foremost. We brought in all those right people? Are they in alignment with our values? Are they, equipped? What is their personality type like? And have we placed them in the right position, in the right job? So are they the right person to be interacting with our customers? Or maybe they're better off doing something more, behind the scenes and admin and back of house, depending upon the industry. So there's all those little elements that have to go on. And when I see all those things happening together, I just feel this calm, this peace, that I can just enjoy the moment. I can enjoy the experience of whatever it is that I'm doing.
Absolutely.
So that's what it is for me.
I love that. And what I think is also wonderful about that is, if that's your experience as a leader, imagine what the experience is for you when your team is functioning like that and when things are moving like that. That's
Exactly.
what you want.
So much. And, great point. It makes me think of, as you know, one of my favorite crazy stats of all times touches on this. And so Bain and Company did a study, and they found that 80% of executives, business owners think that they are delivering an outstanding customer experience. While on the other hand, their customers, only 8% of the customers agreed that they are getting a great experience. Look at that disparity. It is this huge chasm. It's just enormous delivery gap. And it's a deadly one to do business in. You can never survive that. If you think something's going on and your perception is, oh, well, I know we've set up those rules and we have a system for that, and so our customers are being taken care of, and I know that our employees are happy because we've created this, that, and the other. Well, how do you really know? If 8% of your customers are only 8% agree with you, then you've got a huge problem, and you need to go in and figure out how to bridge that gap and fill in that huge chasm of disparity. Because if not, you're not going to have staff around for very long, and you're certainly not going to have repeat customers or new customers once they go out to the world and tell them about their experience. So very important to know from all levels, not just what you think, but as you touched on, really understanding the perspective of your employee, your manager, your janitor, your dishwasher, all levels, your vendors, because they're touching your business, all the way out to your end customer. And that's huge.
Absolutely. And I think that's actually a perfect segue into your next part of Shark, which is the hear and listen, right? Because for you to get an understanding of all the different people that are in your business, and to get the understanding of all the people you're serving, you have to be able to hear and listen to them.
That's right. You need to ask questions all the time. Ask. There's a multitude of ways to do this, through surveys, through weekly meetings, through daily huddles. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do within your business, but the key is that you're always asking, and that you truly are listening, that you park your ego, outside the door, and that you're there to say any feedback that I get. In fact, there's a great quote by Ross Perot, and he said, "Spend a lot of time talking to customers face to face. You'd be amazed how many companies don't listen to their customers." And I think it's true from the employee point of view as well. You need to really hear what they're saying. You really need to listen and then apply the feedback that you get. Take it, figure out where's the problem, how do I fix it, let's tweak this, let's try this instead, let's see if this is better. Are employees happier? Are they contributing? And we all know that when someone is personally involved and they offer up ideas and suggestions, when they see it implemented, they are so much more likely to support it and go along with what's going on instead of being told you have to do this and you have to do that and you have no say in it, this is just the way it is. When they're a part of it, when they feel like they can be vested in the outcome because they've been heard, they've been listened to, they can contribute. Now they're a part of something bigger. Now they are vested in the outcome and the success. You take care of them, they're going to take care of your business. It's the universal law of reciprocity. So definitely, don't just be multitasking all the time. Really stop, give someone your undivided attention, listen to what they have to say. And not just listen, but then act on it.
Yeah, and I was just about to say something really important that I heard within all of that is the acting on it. Because if you don't act upon it, you haven't really listened, you haven't really heard them. Again, you would just be paying lip service. Mm-hmm. I heard the words you said, but I'm going to ignore them. And that no one likes to be ignored, and they very quickly know if they're just going to be ignored every single time. And so you can't.
Right. It's told they're not important, basically.
Exactly. And they'll very quickly shut off and become a disengaged employee, which we've already discussed. What is the huge cost of having a disengaged employee?
Yes, bingo. Perfect. Exactly right.
So, and oh my goodness. Yeah. Like,
it's a vicious cycle.
Exactly. And I think part of hearing and listening to others is taking the risk to give them the opportunity to learn. And how I mean this is sometimes people come up with ideas and thoughts and want to try something out. And sometimes those ideas don't work. And I think leaders sometimes will hear ideas that may be a little far out there. And I'm not talking like crazy far out there where it's like just like you hear it and you're like, oh, there's no way we could do that. Like that's a different story. But if it's like a little bit outside of the comfort zone and you automatically shut it down, you can't give them the ability to grow. You can't give the business the ability to grow. But if it's a little bit outside of the comfort zone and you give them the opportunity to try it, they can grow. You can grow because now you know there might be another way to do things, and it can allow new success that your business couldn't have attained without that.
Exactly, 100%. And you're touching on a point that I think is really important for business success, and it's a formula that I call, the EQ, which is educate, which we touched on earlier, empower, which is exactly what we're talking about now. You're saying, I'm empowering you. I'm allowing you to make certain choices and decisions without having to go get, authority approval. I'm empowering you to go out there, take everything you've learned and to act on it. And the third one is to entrust. And that's the element. We trust your decisions. We've heard what you have to say, where you've listened, you've worked, you've gone through all these different things. So when you trust is the foundation of any relationship. So you get to that point after you've empowered them, that then you entrust them to go out there and represent you in the right way. And of course, you're evaluating, you make tweaks along the way. That's truly how you develop a real, genuine dream team.
Absolutely. I love that. And I'm hoping we have enough time to dive into that, because I'd love to dive into that too, but we still have over half of the equation of shark to go into.
I know.
So next one, acknowledge, right? Tell me about acknowledging.
So acknowledging, really perfect segue from what you just said. I really contend that every human being wants to be acknowledged. It's a natural human sensation. It's a natural need. We want to feel like people see us. When you say someone's name, I forget who said that the person's name in any given language is the most beautiful word to them in that language. It's such a simple thing. When you start working with someone, ask their name, use their name again. It's that subconscious you mentioned, that feeling that you get. They just, when they hear their name, it's like, it's like a hit of dopamine. Um, and so you want to just acknowledge them. You want to thank them for coming and doing business with you. You want to um, honor them. You want to find out what's going on. You don't discount what's going on. You don't negate what they're saying. You acknowledge whatever it is. And a good rule of thumb for this that I've learned across different industries, use their own words. People like to hear they can connect, they relate, they really think that you understand what they're saying by using their words. And you can say to them, so if I heard you correctly, what I hear you saying is, and then you repeat back their words. So it verifies, it confirms to them that you understand exactly what they're experiencing. Already you're going to be on another level with them because you're acknowledging what they're feeling, what their problem is, what's going on.
Absolutely. And that's so important. And the thing is, people like to be acknowledged in the world for the things they're doing well. And there's not enough of that happening. So often we're so focused on all the things that are wrong. What did you do wrong? Why was it wrong? And like, you don't do that again, right? Do you remember this time when you did something wrong? You keep doing things wrong, right? And people hate that. And so when they get acknowledged for something positive, they know that they're being seen for those things, it completely changes everything.
Yes.
So then that moves us to R, which is respect, which is a great word. But what does respect mean to you, Jill?
To me, respect means that you are truly honoring someone for their belief, for whatever it is, for their point of view. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to agree with them, but it means that we're all entitled to our own opinions, to our own experiences, and to acknowledge that to them is giving them the ultimate respect. And then from there, once you have that acknowledgement, you kind of have an agreement, and then you can move forward to resolve whatever it is that they've come to you for, as a customer to employee, for example, or an employee to an owner. Very much the same. And so I think respect to me is the bottom line of communication, of relationship and communication. That trust, but within that is to respect the other person and treat them accordingly. And that's why I think I put the R squared, and I think it was respect and resolution, because you have to start first and make sure that you're showing people that you respect them and you respect whatever it is that they're coming to you for. Now let's take care of what you came to us for.
Definitely. Definitely. And what I love about what you're saying with respect is that you can acknowledge someone's point of view without necessarily agreeing with it, and without necessarily saying that that is correct, right? And you can still treat them really well. And you can, one, learn yourself, but two, help them learn a new perspective if you truly respect them.
Yes.
Awesome. Then we go into resolution, which is what so many people want, and yet so many people have a hard time obtaining.
Right. I mean, it's simple. Resolution, as I alluded to earlier, it's not only, okay, I have a problem, let's get this resolved. it comes even in the first visit that they're coming. They're coming to you with a problem. The problem is, I need a pair of girlfriend or boyfriend jeans, whatever, like whatever's big today, right? I need a pair of, something specific. I'm really hungry. I need to find something great to eat because to fill my stomach. Or they've sent me the wrong product and I need to get this resolved. Or they charge me too much money. Then there's the other issues going on. Either way, there's a problem, there's a need, and there's a resolution. And so whether you're on the front end or on the back end post-transaction, I think it's important, clearly, to stay in business. After all, that is why you're in business. People are coming for some sort of resolution to whatever their need is at that moment. And so it's how we treat them during that time, and that we make sure that we find that resolution. You never want someone to leave, your place of business, hang up the phone, whatever it is with you, not feeling like you've resolved what their concern is and why they reached out to you to begin with. And you want to make sure that they're happy about it, because if not, they're going to go off and start trashing you. So you want to make sure you're getting great word of mouth. So I recommend, before they leave your place of business or hang up the phone or whatever the case may be, that you say, did we resolve your need? Did we take care of your problem? Did you find everything that you needed today? Would you like dessert or something else with that? Whatever the industry, whatever the situation is, find out while they're still there in front of you face to face. And if not, how can we fix it? Did we earn, we want to earn your business. We would love for you to go give us a 5-star review. Do you feel that you could do that? And wait. If they say no, then find out. So we're so sorry to hear this. What was your experience? We want to make it right. How can we make it, not how, you don't ask them for the response, but let them know we want to make it right for you. And we want to do it now because we want to make sure that we earn your business and your great review. And so you take care of it on the spot. And let me tell you, people are very forgiving when they see that you're human and you admit to saying, you know what, oh my gosh, we messed up. It's on us. We're going to make this right by you. And we want you to come back. So I think that's really key in the resolution piece.
Absolutely. Now, what I want to ask around this piece too, because it seems so simple, it seems like it's pretty straightforward, and yet people still have major challenges around actually attaining resolutions. What are some of the things that pop up that prevent people from actually getting to the resolution?
I think, one, that you've not empowered your employees. You've not entrusted your employees. You haven't shown them that we have given you everything that you need. You've now proven to us that you can act on behalf of our company, our brand, and we empower you to handle that situation. You don't have to always call for somebody else, which makes you feel small and doesn't make it feel like you're participating, that you're a reasonable part of the business success. And so I think a lot of the times that's what happens. And I think you need to, number one, empower your people. And then obviously before you empower, you have to do all the educational steps and hiring, all that we mentioned before. So that's a big one for sure.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you would add into that?
So as to why people are not having that great experience and getting the resolution.
And getting the resolution, yeah.
It could be company policies. And certainly, again, I think you have every case is a little bit different, but usually within each business, they have certain allowance of what maybe an empowered employee can do without having to go ask for permission. Creating situations where you actually encourage your employees to resolve the problem in an amicable way, beyond amicable, that you make the person very happy about what you've done to resolve their problems for them. So, these principles apply across every industry. If you have a customer, they're applicable. So depending upon which industry and the intricacies of how you do business, those things would be tweaked a bit. But the goal obviously is resolution, because if without resolution, you have no business, you have no repeat customers.
Absolutely. And so you didn't exactly say this. I'm kind of interpreting your words here with something I think is really interesting, because one of the things you said could prevent resolution is policy.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, what I'm hearing is that the old rules could be preventing new success. What you've laid down as the law could prevent things from being able to thrive in the future.
Yes. And Cody, thank you for saying that, because one thing that drives me insane is when I hear an employee say to me, oh, well, I can't do that because it's not in the computer. Ah, seriously? Like, or I go to growing up in McDonald's, I did my own mental math, and I've learned how to give change back and counting back and all that. And so I'll often give an additional 6 cents to round it down to the nearest quarter or dime, whatever it is. Talk about blowing someone's mind. Oh my gosh. So I handed it to her, and she'd already rung up the change. And so I said, well, just, give me back whatever. She said, oh, no, I can't do that. It says here I have to give you back this amount of money. I was like, oh my gosh, I gave you a 20. I had to walk her through the math, the simple math. And so that's a perfect example how, the resolution, that was maybe not full resolution, but it's an example of how technology sometimes can hinder the resolution. Or maybe I'll want to order something else, and they're like, oh, well, the computer doesn't have it that way, even though you know that the product exists or the food item exists, whatever. But no, can't do it. Not on the computer. Be a human. What happened to using your brain?
Yeah, no, and that's so true. This is really sad to be saying, but thinking has become a dying art.
Oh my God.
And it's it's so crazy because our minds are designed to think. They're designed to come up with ideas and resolutions and different ways of doing things. They're set up to do that. And yet so many people aren't even attempting to do it. They just go with whatever is put in front of them.
And the less you use something, the more it's like a muscle, right? It will shrivel and die. It won't be there if we don't use it.
Exactly. And I think as a society, we're actually seeing a lot of this, where people aren't using their minds and we're seeing the negative consequences. Or if they are using their minds, they're not using it to productive ends.
Right. And it again, to me, it's like that wedge between the human interaction. It's that wedge. It's what makes it a transaction instead of an interaction.
So talk to me about the differences between that, because I think that is something that you really like to talk about, and it's an important distinction to be making, the difference between what is a transaction and what is an actual interaction.
Sure. Think about, perfect example, when you go to the bank and you drive up you go to an ATM, a cash machine. Well, after you take out your money, what's question comes up on the screen? Would you like another transaction? Well, think about it. That is exactly what happened. It's a machine. There's no human interaction. There's nothing emotional. It's a pure exchange of in this case, of getting money. And so if you take that into business, it would be the definition of transaction actually is an exchange of goods and services for money. Nothing beyond that. No human element, no engagement, no interaction, general human to human interaction. And people are people first, and their customers second. And I think we need to remember that we address people as people first, and we engage with them. And that's what makes the difference of a transaction versus an interaction. And when we transform that transaction into a genuine interaction, that's when we're creating the relationship. That's when we're saying, hey, Cody, I see that you came in, and you're looking for this specific size pair of pants, and you let us know that this is what you want. Well, we also have these in other colors, or would you like a long or a short? Like really say, I see what's going on. I'm engaging with you. I want to go deeper into what your need is so that I can make sure I am solving your need and I'm serving you from the greatest point that I can. And I'm going to create that genuine interaction. And by doing so, that relationship is what will have you come back to me again next time, because you know that now I know your name, I know what you like, or if you're in a restaurant, I know what you order every time. I'm going to recognize you. Thank you for coming back. You've created that relationship. People more and more want the human relationship. We are so caught up in texting. We don't even speak on the phone anymore. So people need that. And when you give that to them, that's when you've developed an employee, team member, or a customer for life.
Definitely. And a lot of the wording you were using in that comes from the customer interaction, like the end customer interaction. What does that look like for the leader developing the dream team? What does that look like there?
It's very similar. So similarly, when you hire someone, do you just like look at a resume, have a quick chat, bring them on? So it's kind of what I call the the status quo, the outside in. You use an external source, you recruit, excuse me, you have a quick interview, and then you go in and you decide to hire them. You do some quick training, you have them shadow, and then you kind of put them out there on their own, right? Like that to me is very transactional. You're kind of just moving them through like a cog in the wheel. But on the other hand, if you do what I call the inside out method, which is the EX to CX, it's the employee experience to customer experience. Then when you have the employee experience, your customers will automatically have that experience. And it involves more steps, Cody, but it's important to take that time up front for the long game and to play the long game and really invest in your employees, invest in hiring and training and educating true team members and people who you're bringing in who are in alignment with those values, as I cannot say enough, and that everything you do reflects back. So within your team, within your day-to-day, with your, I think you should have a day-to-day daily huddle, and you should have it have an agenda for what you want to do, and make it fun, have videos, have some sort of gamification, have each show support one another, encourage them, and actually reward them when they support one another. That's developing that true dream team, because then they're really working as one and they've got each other's back. And you need someone to come in and fill in for an extra couple hours. No problem, I'll do it, because someone's going to be doing that for me, and I've experienced that. And when they experience that beautiful cohesion of just this harmony of everyone working together and having the same values and supporting one another, and showing that your management is not just managing, and this is a huge point here, Cody, they're leading you. They're not just saying you do this and do that, and then they're not asking for your input. They're not thinking of you as a greater. You're just thinking. Sorry, I've got so many ideas. It's like I sometimes cut my own self off.
Go for it.
They're not thinking of you as kind of a greater piece of the equation of our success, but instead they're thinking, oh, well, we've just hired you as a transaction, and we just want you to fill this notch, and we want you to fill this need, and that'll be fine. No, instead, you say you're a part of a team. You're a part of this bigger vision. You're a part of this brand. And your contributions are important, and we want them, and we're going to include them. We're going to listen to them. We're going to acknowledge and respect everything that you bring to the table. And we hired you because of that, not just because you have a heartbeat. And so you bring that piece in, and that's really what creates the team that your customer will feel is really working together cohesively and giving you that great experience that you don't even realize all this is happening in the background. You just experience the benefits of it.
Absolutely. And something that I find really interesting, because I've had a couple conversations around interviewing and the interview process and onboarding people today. With Aisha earlier, one of the things we talked about is how people from different cultures, especially when they're coming here into America, to the US, they have a hard time getting job because their experience in other countries aren't considered real experience, essentially, right? And so it's there's not even a look at the human factor, as you're pointing out. It's just looking at transactionally, what does the paper say, right? On top of that, we had Jeff Woods before that, who was talking about empire builders. I know you know Jeff Woods.
Yeah.
And he was talking about hiring empire builders and how you can't hire an empire builder based off a piece of paper, that you have to create a whole process and a whole understanding behind it in order to get them onto your team. And what I'm hearing is the same story again and again and again, is that you need to understand people as people in order to develop that dream team from the very beginning process. As soon as you start the interview process, from obtaining people's resumes, you need to be looking at them as people, not as pieces of paper, in order to get to the point to find the right people to create the dream team, which is awesome to see, like, this repetitive pattern that we're going through, that if you don't look at them as people, if you don't respect them as people, you know, if you're not acknowledging them as people, and you're not hearing and listening to them, you can't build a dream team because you're not understanding the human aspect of it all.
Right, and that's the foundation, and that's the foundation of what I say about, transforming a transaction into interaction. It's the foundation of the interaction, is recognizing, as I mentioned before, that people are people first. Their employees second, their customers second. They really, you just have to meet them and show them, in some ways, I was going to say vulnerability, but I know a lot of times people think, oh, vulnerability is weak. It's not. I think if you stand your ground and you say in a strong way, this is who we are and these are our expectations, and if you want to become a part of this team, you want to become a part of our brand and what we're doing on a bigger scale, because that's what most people want today, and certainly that's what the millennials want, then we need to have an agreement. And it's not just what we expect of you, it's that you agree and you actually get that in writing, and you get an agreement that we are on the same page, and I want what you want. And once you do that human to human, and you see as a person, it's not only what experience you've had. In fact, often, I don't know about you, but I've had experiences where someone who's maybe had less experience, but they are on the same value track. And that's why hiring according to your values is so important. If you hire someone that you know is in alignment and believes and has the same character and has those same values as you, you can then train them. You can educate them as to your way of doing things. And, like I say, the training part, that takes care of itself. Of course, they're going to have to do those pieces, but you can educate them on what you want. But if you're worried about, oh, well, this person, they've already had all these different experiences and they're going to be great. Actually, just triggered a thought. Just reminding me of design school. So I went to University of Texas undergrad, took 'em horns, and then I went to Parsons School of Design to become a fashion designer. I had never put pencil to paper other than to write with. I didn't know that I had that artistic side of me. And I remember my foundation, which was the first year before I went on to do fashion, I was freaked out. I was so intimidated because there were kids who came there with all of this art background and art high schools and specialized schools, nothing. And I always felt like, oh my God, my work is so much worse. But actually, the teacher said, and this is what stuck with me, and this is exactly what I'm saying now. So it talks about the importance of things building on what we do, right? They actually said, we prefer someone to come into our class with no experience, be that open book, that open mind. Let us teach you what we think is the right way. Let us guide you. Let us show you our methodology. And so it's the same thing in business. You're actually better off with somebody who is in alignment with your values, who is open to learn and be coached and be educated and have that go-get-'em attitude and really hungry to want to be a part of something. Much better than to hire someone who's had 10, 15 years experience, thinks they know it all, and they're going to show you how it should be done. They're never going to be as productive, and they're certainly going to affect your team worse than someone who's going to come in and is like, let's do this together.
Definitely. And I would say that this kind of ties into habits, right? Because usually if you have someone who's been in the industry 10, 15 years, they have habits. And sometimes those habits are for an old system that don't work anymore. And that doesn't always happen because there's the super negative side that can happen with this, where it's the exact opposite, where you create ageism, right? Which is just as bad. Yeah. But sometimes those habits are really hard to uninstall, especially if they're designed for an old system toward an old way of thinking. And it's a lot easier to create a new habit than to remove an old habit.
Very much so. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And then final part of Shark, kindness. Talk to me about kindness.
Oh my gosh. Like, it should go without explanation, right? But sadly, we live in a day that's not necessarily true.
You'd think, right?
I know. And I think, again, it starts at the top. You have to establish a culture, a kind culture within your business. You have to let them know, your employees, and show them through your leadership, through your example, not just manage, but really show through your leadership that we have a kind culture, that our company's set up. We're compassionate, we're empathetic, we are concerned about what's going on in your life. You're a part of our family. Let us know how we can support you. How can we help you? And of course, as mentioned before, that's going to be reciprocated down the line. If you do good, they're going to want to take care of you too. And, it's interesting. Unfortunately, I lost my dad coming up on 25 years ago, way prematurely. We lost him, but it still warms my heart when I've been in touch with some of the McDonald's employees that worked for my parents many years ago. And I hear them telling me the most kind and loving things about how he always came in with a smile. He would talk to everybody. He would look at you in your eyes. He would know your name. He would ask about your children by name. He'd roll up his sleeves and get in and work with us, right side by side. And it was that kind of thing that, to me, as I hear it, they're expressing things that was just a kind human being, a compassionate, caring person. And so I love that. And I think that's really important. And I would challenge everyone who's listening to this to test it out. Like, go in there, ask all your employees to just make, should be a part of your everyday routine anyway, but I've never experienced it. Have everybody smile. have everyone greet them, maybe give them some options. If there's something specific, you have a very particular brand and you want it to be in a certain style, then do that. But create this very kind environment and then see what the result is. Just give it a week. Even if I bet you, I can guarantee within a day you're going to see a difference. But give it a week and you're going to see what's happening. And then, talk about it amongst your team afterwards. And let's hear stories of everyone's experience. What was your interaction with someone? What came of it? How do we learn from that? And I would love, I challenge everyone to go out and do it. And please write me and let me know, because I would love to hear the results. And I think it's the best way to invest in your company and in your people, to just create that kindness.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I heard in that, which I think is brilliant, is that when you are kind and people remember that, what we talked about, people won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you feel, right? And that all ties into the legacy you create, which is really important if you're trying to become a legendary leader. Legendary people are people who are talked about even after they've passed on, like your father, right? People still talk about him. He's been gone for a quarter of a century.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But his life impacts you today. It impacts other people today. It's stuff like that that creates legends. And it's not hard. It's not hard.
It isn't. That's the crazy thing. The things that we're talking about, they really, to me, they seem like common sense. But I grew up with that as my example. So I know, people come from a variety of, every type of circumstance and experience. And that's what they bring to the table, which is why it is so important to invest in your people so that you create kind of an equalizer to create the culture that you want for your brand and in your company. And when you create that situation, you do create a legacy. And who doesn't want to be a leader, a legendary leader, to really create a legacy? And I feel blessed that I did get that legacy from my parents. And I now feel the responsibility to continue on that legacy, which is why I am so obsessed with working with companies. And when I realized actually that through doing this, by connecting people one-to-one and creating just that more genuine connection as a people first, and then when you marry that with business, and that can help businesses grow and succeed, and then they give back to their communities. So it's this beautiful, what I see as this synergistic cycle. And so when I saw that there was that beautiful marriage of connecting human beings and getting back to that good feeling and business success, so it kind of touched on those two parts of me, that's when I truly became obsessed with creating a situation, creating a plan and a process to marry both of those things so that we can see the rewards and the benefits of great customer experience, and I can pass on that legacy.
Absolutely. And that, I mean, that's what it's all about in the end, right? It's about finding what it is you're passionate about, living into that passion, being able to pass it on in a way that makes other people passionate about it too.
It's contagious. It is. People's energy is completely contagious, which is why if you have a disengaged, unhappy employee, you want them out because that's contagious. But if you have someone who's stoked and can't wait to come to work every day, and their friends, they bring in referrals of their friends, you're going to have more good people and more good energy. And then of course everyone feels it, including your customers. It's just it's a win all the way around. And energy, feeling that great energy, that's what you want.
Absolutely. No doubts there. So that was Shark. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to try and power through this. Educate, empower, and trust.
Yes.
Let's talk through those real quick.
Okay. So a lot of it are things that I touched on. And of course, It's very high level because in order to do all these things, there are many elements that go along with it. But the educate is that first part. And that's when the first step, as you talked about, isn't just the first day, it's the first time you have a conversation with someone. And you already begin with educating them on what we stand for. These are our values. This is our mission. This is what we want. And so you really educate them on what that is. And then you educate them once you start to hire. You let them know what it is that you expect of them. You get that agreement. You give them the language they need. You really educate them on all steps of what it is that you want them to do to take your business forward, to encourage that. And part of that is the onboarding, but not only making the onboarding fun and creating videos and really creating a team, a genuine team environment. Have your team welcome this new person who's come along. Really educate and mix the education and the training together so that it really doesn't feel like they're just a flea being trained in the circus, but they in fact are a part of something that they're learning and they're working together to do something. And along this inside out process that I talk about is, one idea is every day to come together in this huddle. It's been referred to by someone else, and talk about what's going on. And by doing that, you're continuing the education. You're letting them know every day, keeping it front of mind, the awareness, what's happening. And then you start to move them out into the process of engaging with your customers. So I'm thinking from the perspective of the employee out. Part of empowering them is letting them prove themselves. So put them out there, let them shadow, let them support other people, and then have a 30, 60-day evaluation. And, go through that every time is having that conversation, asking, having the communication is key, because if you just throw them out there and you don't speak about what's going on, you don't get the feedback. You need to have that feedback so then you can tweak things to move it forward. Then is when you get to the empowerment stage. And when you empower is when you listen. That's why both of these really tie in together and work together, because when you empower, it's when you're listening and implementing. That's the action piece we talked about. You're implementing that for vested employees. You want them vested in your success. You've got to listen, you've got to hear them, and you've got to implement their ideas. So that's a part of the empowerment piece. Ongoing education, so it's not just onboarding, but it's also the ongoing. They have to realize that whether it's direct topic or it's a related topic, make it fun for them. Make it something. It's not like they're in school and they're looking out down at a flyer or some sort of manual. Do something to make it fun and incorporate their ideas, but you're continuing the education along the way. And once you've done this, you've gotten to this point, that's when you entrust them. And that's what happens is when you have decisions that the employees can actually make without the approval. Every time that they have to get their approval, you've trusted them, you've let them know, we know you've got our back. We've got your back and you've got our back. And so we trust you. And that's that cycle that I think is very different. The way I think a successful dream team can be created by working what I call inside out, the employee experience to the customer experience, instead of the other way around, which to me is outside in, and that's just your status quo, 5 steps: hiring, routine training, shadow, boom, throw you out, you're on your own.
Absolutely. And what I love about this is each part leads to the next one. Mm-hmm. It's the education allows you to empower them. As you are empowering them, it allows you to entrust them. Each one connects to the one previous, because one thing that I've heard a lot of people say is, how do I empower my people? Right? Because it just not logically comes to them. They're just thinking like, if I give them power, it should all be good. And then what happens? something doesn't go right and they take the power away and they've disempowered them now. And that can be devastating both to the leader because they're taking on responsibilities they shouldn't be taking on, and to the person they just took it from because they are now feeling like less valuable of an individual. They may become disengaged. And as we've talked about already, disengaged employees have tremendous cost to the business overall.
You know, Cody, you just said something that triggered a thought for me. And this is why I always love speaking to you, because we always have this wonderful, like, you know, ideas, this one spurs another, which is why I am a team player. My personality profile, team player was the highest level, because I love that engagement and the exchange of ideas and the brainstorming. But you touched on a very important point that I'm so glad before we finish that we talk about this 24/7 mentality. And so if you don't follow this process that I'm talking about, you are taking away the power from your people. You would then have to assume it, and you keep going, and you find yourself putting out fires because you're not following the plan. You don't have people. You are a slave, a 24/7 slave to your business. There's only so long that you can sustain that, and you're not going to be happy. And I think every business owner's dream is to create that dream team so that they can step away from their business. They can actually have a vacation. They can be untethered at some point in their lives and every year and for a longer and longer period of time, because they know they've created this team that has their back, and it works like a well-oiled machine, and they've created it, they've set it up, they've invested in their company, they've invested in their people. And in doing so, you know, it might be harder, especially if you've got systems right now already set up, like you talked about, even for the employee. It applies to the owner. You know, it's harder to go back and change things after the fact. So realize there's going to be some pain, but you have to push through it. And you need to get those new systems, wherever the problems are, get those in place to create that team so that you're not a 24/7 slave to your business, so that you can step away and say, oh my gosh, take my ego out. I don't have to be involved in every decision that goes on for this to be successful. In fact, it'll be more successful if I remove myself from some of this and I empower and entrust my staff.
Absolutely beautiful. And I think I'd love to continue having this conversation because it's so important in developing a dream team. But we're pretty much right against the end of our time. And I know that you've got a gift that you want to talk about.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I meant to actually mention in the front, hoping that people would stay on, and I forgot.
It happens. We're human.
I do. I'm sorry. Yeah, I hope that whoever's listening or replay, that they listen to all of this, because I have some great gifts. And really, because this applies to so many industries, I've created a gift for several industries. One, if you're an entrepreneur, I have a gift, and that is basically your CX checklist. CX stands for customer experience. And so it will help customers increase their revenue, and through repeat customers and through the intentional customer wow. And the intentional is key there. And you can find that at jillraff.com/CX checklist. And it's the same name as my website. My last name is Raff, R like Robert, A-double-F like French fry, of course. So it's jillraff.com/CX checklist. And then for those of you who are in the restaurant industry, near and dear to my heart, of course. And so for that, you can find specifically for the restaurant industry, how to double your restaurant's 5-star Yelp reviews in 10 days and increase your revenue repeat customers in the process. So great tools and ideas and tips to help you double your 5-star reviews. And that's at jillraff.com/Yelp, YELP. And lastly, for just a broader hospitality hotel market, another one that I serve, similar, but in this case, how to double your hotel's 5-star TripAdvisor ratings in 10 days and increase your revenue and repeat customers in the process. And that is jillraff.com/TripAdvisor. So great information that you can have. And when you get that, actually, there will be even more gifts that come along in the process.
Ooh, secret gifts. I like secret gifts. Those are always fun. So
I'm a giver. I love to share knowledge. My goal is to create this customer experience movement and to really get businesses to jump on board. Just try out a couple of the small tips that I give you in these checklists. And really, please get back to me. I want to hear how they work for you. And if it's not working, let's figure out why. Let's talk about it. I want to see your business grow.
absolutely. And I know from experience that some of these things will dramatically change actually all of these things will dramatically change your business. But even if you only implement one or two of them, they'll dramatically change your business, because I've seen these things work. I've seen it in action. These things are extremely powerful if you give them the opportunity to come out, and if you give them the opportunity to be utilized well. They're so powerful. Like this is gold that we're touching upon right now for your business, organization, for your whole customer base. This can completely change your business, and the gifts are absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. And I love that you have the different segments for depending on who ends up listening, which is so cool. Thank you for that.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. It's really fun. Always fun to talk to you. And of course, I could talk forever about employee experience and customer experience. I love it.
Absolutely. Definitely.